December 10th, 2024. This will be the last one of this year, and we'll proceed on as well as possible. Thank you very much. And just a reminder to everyone that the whole part of this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on our Township YouTube channel. So if they can't catch it now, you can catch it later on this afternoon or maybe over the course of the week. Anyway, thanks very much. And I would like to now call the roll. Please raise your hand and state your presence when I call your name. Mayor Watson.
I am here. Good morning.
Deputy Mayor Nelson. Present. Councilor Ward has sent his regrets. He may pop in and out of our meeting once in a while, but he'll be on Zoom if he does. Councilor Johnson. Present. Thank you very much. And staff members, CAO Todd Davis. Present. Good morning. Deputy CAO Martina Cheegar.
Good morning.
Good morning. Treasurer Paul Kramer. Manager of Recreation Facilities Mike Wood. Fire Chief Chuck Patterson is missed because he did have a call earlier that got the pagers to go off, so he may join us, he may not join us. He'll cross that bridge with his presentation when we get to it. Manager of Public Works Chief Donovan. Morning. Chief Billing Official Don Ellman. Present. And this morning our planner Christina Coulter will also not be attending, so our clerk will take care of any comments and questions for that report. And if she doesn't have an answer for any comments and questions, she will make sure that we do get an answer to them in good time. So, for the quorum of the committee in attendance, I will call the meeting to order. To start with the land acknowledgement, we respectfully acknowledge that we are on the lands which are part of the 1818 Treaty 20 and the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Band of the Great Ojibwe Nation. We offer our gratitude to the Ojibwe for their care and knowledge of the lands on which we work, live, and enjoy. May we honor and respect their teachings and our treaty obligations as we grow together. Now, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Adoption of today's agenda, please. There is a couple little changes on it. Sarah Groves will be doing her presentation by Zoom instead of being here in person. As I said before, Christina won't be here, and I do believe that should cover us for the say, except for Chuck and not still up there, depending on the call. So, motion to receive today's slightly adjusted agenda. Mayor Watson, Deputy Mayor Nelson. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. All right, delegations, petitions, presentations. So we have a presentation today of the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. And it's just an update on what's going on. Sarah Groves will be online here right shortly, and whenever she's ready.
Chair, she's not online yet. Do you want to skip to the second presentation?
Okay, well, we'll just pause that one just temporarily, then we'll go to our second one presentation. So we have personal information, bank security policy, intern Nicholas Cosmantis, is that how you pronounce it? Yes. Very good. And for the clerk's office, 24 to 26. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. We have a PowerPoint.
Yes, just coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about the Personal Information Bank, which is required under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. So the Personal Information Bank, as I said, it is required under Section 34 of AMPA, excuse me. And the personal is it's a collection of organized information, and it has to be available for the public to access, and is maintained by the municipality. So the head is required under the Act to carry out the responsibilities, but the Act also says that the head can delegate which in this case has been delegated to the clerk. And it's required to be updated as often as necessary in order to ensure. So this is roughly what the PID will look like. So for example, we have the Department of Finance, and the bank is employee payroll. So the acts that enable us to collect that would be the Municipal Act and the Income Tax Act, and the information contained within the bank are things like the social insurance number, the banking information, and it's used for tax collection purposes and payrolls. And all of the retention periods are under the retention period bylaw. But, so this is how Peterborough has their information bank kind of laid out. When you go to their website, they have all of their information, where you can access the FOI requests, just any other type of additional information that relates, I guess, to like the whole privacy act. And then so on the right would be, if you click the personal information bank tab, which you can see at the very bottom, it'll open up your departments. So you have the CIO, community services, and legislative services, and all of the IDs will be they'll be consolidated within their departments. So for our PID, I propose that we organize ours into 4 departments, like administration, development, emergency risk management, and our legislative services. And I think it would fit perfectly in our routine disclosure policy and freedom of information tab, because we already have all the initial forms and some information already there. So we can just slide the PID right into there and all of it. So if you have any questions, of course, you can direct them towards Martina. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nick. Thanks for the presentation. Members of the committee, any questions, comments? Deputy Nelson.
Yes. Sorry, Nick. In speaking with Nick, actually before the meeting, I understand that this is Nick's last task. So anyways, thanks for your work on this, Nick, and thanks for your presentation.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, for having me as a student and an intern.
Yeah.
It was a lovely experience.
That's great, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the?
To the chair, I just want one question. Like, they go online and see a lot of stuff. But as far as any request, they have to come fill out a form and then send it to you. Is that right?
To the chair, to Councillor Johnson, that's correct. So the personal information bank provides, it's a registry of all of the personal information that the township collects or houses to provide our services, supports, and function as an organization. And so under FRIPA, we have to have that collected and available to the public for inspection at any time, which is why we're putting it on the website, so it's accessible 24/7. But if someone wants to request information or they want to file an FOI, you're right, it comes through the clerk's office. And so on that website, our information is there. There's a form, it's a one press form. You just put your info in, you hit send, and it comes right to us. Otherwise, they can contact us by phone, pop into the office, however they'd like to contact us.
So the chair, just a little follow-up on that. So when someone requests information, like personal information, are they basically only ask about themselves? They can't ask about somebody else, can you?
So, through the chair. So you can ask information about other folks. Under MFRIPA, people can make the request, but that doesn't mean we're going to reveal the information. So a frequent request we get is for old building permit information. So perhaps someone is looking to buy a property, they want to know what building permits have previously been put on that property. That's classified as personal information because someone who isn't them had applied for those permits in the past, so we're able to release those permits, but what we do is we redact the personal information, so that that's not revealed to the requester.
Through the chair, Martina, once you release some of that information that could be personal information, the people receiving that information also have a obligation not to share that information, is that correct? Or-
Through the chair to the deputy mayor, that's not quite correct, so when we release the information, it's been, we have redacted all personal information, none of it is left. Under UNFIPA, we have certain regulations we have to follow, and it's quite prescriptive in what type of information must be released. So we don't deliver the response to the request until all of that work has been done. Sometimes it takes longer than other times because we have to sift through it, especially if they're paper documents, they need to be scanned and then manually redacted. It's a process, but that's fine. But once that information is released to the requester can do whatever they want with the information. It's like putting it in the newspaper. It's totally everything in Polly's hands, which is why we take it so seriously to make sure that that information is redacted, and we're only releasing information that we're legally able to.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you. Through the chair, Nick, so great to see your work and the culmination of your work over the past semester. It's been a delight having you in the office. I hear, and anytime I'm here and see you here, it's great to have your energy in the room. Nick, I wanted to ask a little bit about the personal information bank register, perhaps defer to the clerk if need be, but really the work that you've been undertaking over the last, during your internship has been to create those departments and ascertain where on the website, how we can make it available to people. Is that correct?
Yes.
So when you say in your report, your presentation that, it's requirement under MFIPA, up until this point, it's not that we've been non-compliant, it's just that we haven't had it publicly available. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. I just want to make sure of that. And Madam Clerk.
Sorry, through the chair. So we've been semi-compliant, I'll say, because we knew this information was housed in our systems and we could answer in response to the requests and provide responses. But we were uncompliant because we did not have an organized system and it was not available to the public. So now we are fully compliant once this gets on our website. And Nick, if you want, I can pull up an information bank on the screen. I'll just pull up the administration one, and then we can just kind of slide through it a little bit so everyone will know what it looks like. Just give me one moment to share my screen. If you want to kind of narrate, I'll scroll down a little bit so you can let people know what we're looking at.
Sure. Clearly just the title page, we're in the department, I guess we're in the administration, and then the departments of finance, human resources, and risk management. So here's the first one, account payable. As you can see, it's located in finance, the acts, municipal act, or government sales tax act, and then the big one list of all the information that they'll included. How they're going to be used on a daily basis and who has access to that information. So in this case, there will be the department heads, department and finance in particular would have access to accounts payable. And then just as I said, the retention period, they're all in the bylaws. The Tom runs nothing.
And so through you, Chair, what Nick has done is he has created one of these banks, one of these registry pages for every activity that we do that collects personal information, whether that's from the public or from staff or from agencies, things like that. So, this for administration, it's 11 pages long, and under those 4 categories that we specify, each one has its own bank, and that will be published on our website.
And just to follow up through the chair. So is this published, like what we're looking at right now is PDF document? I'm assuming that that's what's going to be on the website. It's not a searchable database per se. It's just the document of what is being of this.
Exactly, yeah.
Is
Yes,
this-
it'll be by department, like it's as shown, and so, you can, the information will be listed, like it's the administration and the items that will be under administration, so people don't have to go through every bank to find what they're looking for, but it's not a database per se, it's just a registry document.
Thank you, and thank you, Nick, for your work.
Any other comments, questions from the committee? Thank you for staff. I'm sure you all probably maybe had a little hand in the what's and how's and why's of your department, so seeing nothing. Thanks very much, Nick, much appreciated. I guess, and it has kind of been answered, but just for the general public again, this will be on the website, so it's going to give a lot of information that people do ask for under an FOI. But just to be clear, we don't give away the farm like that. There's a lot of stuff with an FOI that we do not disclose that maybe people think, oh, why get this information to them or something. That is not the case, correct?
That is correct.
It is, there's a certain criteria that we can release to the public
Yes,
and yeah, so a lot of that stuff they would have to ask right through direct, it's not on us.
yes, and as well as in there is guidelines that will specify what type of information can be disclosed and what type of information that the municipality will have to, I guess, kind of like analyze and see for themselves. So there are guidelines in place to make sure that no information is submitted.
Thank you very much, great work, much appreciated. All right, seeing no other questions, comments, thank you very much, Nick. Can I please get a motion to proceed with thank Councilor Johnson, Deputy Mayor Nelson? All in favor? Excellent, thank you, Nick. And it's up to you if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting and watch the tables on. If you've got something you want to do, if it needs to get done, don't feel you have to stay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we
We do have Sarah right now.
Good to go. Okay, so we're going to jump back to 5.1. Sarah's now online with us. So, the municipal property assessment and tax system update. Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, we'll call.
I seem to be having network issues, so I'm going to shut the video off. Hopefully that helps. Martina, will you be displaying the presentation?
I can, absolutely. One moment, please.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Martina.
You're welcome.
Okay, so good morning, Mayor and Council. My name is Sarah Groves, and I'm an account manager at the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. Also with me today is my account support coordinator, Victoria Anderlich. And together we support each of the municipalities within the counties of Haliburton and Peterborough and the cities of Peterborough and Kawartha Lakes. So today, I want you to gain a greater understanding of the property assessment and tax system and know exactly where you and property owners can turn should you have any questions. Next slide, please. So there are 4 key players in the Ontario's property assessment and taxation system, and all have a different role and interest in the process. The provincial government is responsible for setting assessment and taxation legislation, as well as policies. MPAC's main role is to determine the current value assessment and classification for all properties in Ontario, and we provide an annual assessment role to all municipalities. Municipalities determine budget requirements and set tax rates to collect property taxes in order to pay for municipal services. Municipalities use the tax rate times the MPAC assessment in order to equal the amount of taxes that each property is accountable for. And then the ratepayer or the property owner pays the property tax. And their other important role really is that of seller or purchaser of land or property. And each of those transactions are what informs MPAC's current value assessment. Next slide, please. So monitoring the market and assessing newly built and renovated properties are things we do every day to keep our property data current. We also periodically update every single property assessment in Ontario based on the same legislated valuation date. And we call this an assessment update or a reassessment. And this is when we determine what every single property in Ontario could have reasonably sold for in its current state and condition at a particular point in time. Provincial legislation determines when MPAC can conduct these province-wide updates and sets the valuation date for each of these update cycles. We can all agree that the market has changed a lot in recent years, and the key is that once we are provided direction on the new valuation date and valuation cycle, all properties will be valued as of that point in time date. And the date and sales in and around that date is what will inform the values. Next slide, please. So Ontario's property tax system is based on everyone paying their portion of what it costs to deliver community services. And to do this, all properties are assigned a value at a common valuation date. Current value assessment is market value at a point in time, or also referred to as the legislated valuation date. And it's the price a property might reasonably be expected to sell for if sold by a willing seller to a willing buyer after appropriate time and exposure on an open market. Regular revaluation of properties ensures that assessments stay up to date and similar properties of similar value in the same municipality pay similar property taxes. Next slide, please. So as you can imagine, maintaining Ontario's property database is very important. Property data is continuously updated so that municipal records are accurate when municipal stakeholders are making important tax decisions. Maintaining Ontario's property database includes inspecting and assessing new construction, additions, and renovations promptly. We respond to property owner inquiries, and we work with them to help them understand their property assessments. We also support our municipalities. We offer a platform called Municipal Connect, where municipal stakeholders can obtain assessment-related information. We have ongoing conversations, regular engagements, and we work collaboratively on projects like the digital building permitting that we've seen in recent years. We also process tax applications, land severances and consolidations, and we have statutory duties like handling requests for reconsideration and maintaining people data by tracking the school support for almost 5.7 million properties across the province. Next slide, please. So let's talk briefly about valuation. In Ontario, there are 3 industry-wide standardized approaches to valuing properties. And the first of these approaches is the direct comparison approach, which is used primarily for residential properties, condos, and vacant land. With this approach, we analyze sales of comparable properties that were sold for a similar or identical use as the property to be valued. We also have the income approach used for properties like office buildings, and the cost approach used on general purpose industrial properties. But no matter what valuation approach we use, the selection of comparable sales transactions serves as the foundation for establishing our property assessments. Next slide, please. So this slide is showcasing the 5 major factors we take into consideration when assessing residential properties. And residential does make up 86% of the property type across the township of Douro-Dummer. So when we look at the valuation of a residential home, although our analysis considers over 200 factors, these are the 5 main factors that make up about 85% of a typical home's value. So we look at the location, the lot dimensions, exterior square footage, the quality of construction, and then the age of the property, which may be adjusted for any renovations or additions if they have occurred. Next slide, please. So let's spend a moment to address the relationship between property taxes and assessment. Assessments distribute taxes. They do not determine the taxes paid. The most important factor is not how much the assessed value of a property has changed, but rather how the assessed value has changed relative to the average change in the class in that community. Next slide, please. So our focus is always on building awareness about property assessment and taxation and what MPAC's role is. And we understand that property assessment can be complex. We hear that from municipalities and property owners. And that's why we've been communicating with property owners and Ontarians more than ever to help them understand their property assessment and the taxation system, learn more about who we are, and find ways to capture and access the information and resources that they need. We have social media campaigns and educational videos. We have the First Time Homeowners Hub launched last year around this time, where new property owners can access information to help them navigate the property assessment and taxation system. So we continue to focus our efforts on providing helpful and easy to understand resources directly to property owners and to municipalities in order to help you help property owners and answer any questions that they have. I believe the next slide is a live link. I don't think we're going to try it today just because sometimes there's complications, I think, in playing a video. But it is linked directly in the PDF. So you can go right in, click on the image on the next slide, and it will take you to the How Property Tax is Calculated video. That's also linked on the mpact.ca website. This video, I would really recommend taking the couple minutes. It's 2 to 3 minutes in length. Taking the time to watch it, it easily explains the relationship between property assessment and taxation. It gives specific examples if your property value increases or your assessed value increases, what that may or may not do to your taxes. So it's a really great resource. So feel free to take a look at it and feel free to share it with any property owners that may come to you with any questions. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we regularly meet with the municipal staff at the Township of Douro-Dummer. We have engagements like this council presentation. We also offer one-on-one meetings with any elected officials across the province. We attend municipal conferences, we host webinars, and we have training videos, which last year we had over 2,000 attendees take part in. And we also provide ongoing support for MPACT products and services. Meeting with our municipal partners is crucial to building strong relationships and understanding the communities we serve and live in. MPACT staff work closely with municipal administration and municipal councils to educate and share valuable information. In 2023, we attended over 1,800 municipal engagements, and we were at or above that at the beginning of November. We also managed over 18,000 municipal inquiries, which are our day-to-day business requests for things like property-specific questions on zoning or a roll value on a property-specific property. We also address mailing addresses, and of course, as mentioned, we process plans and severances and consolidations. Next slide, please. So these numbers are showcasing 2023, but the 2024 reports will be available in the coming weeks. And these reports highlight our accountability and transparency as a public-facing organization. They touch on how well we are meeting our goals in areas like capturing new assessment, the customer and stakeholder engagement part that I mentioned, as well as our operational efficiencies. And they highlight the milestones we've achieved together over the year. So I encourage you to read these reports. The 2023 are available on our website right now, and the 2024s will be available in the coming weeks. So that's all I have for you today. So thank you for your time, and if it permits, I can answer any questions you may have.
Excuse me, excellent. Thank you very much, Sarah and Victoria. Members of the committee, questions?
Yeah,
Council Johnson.
Through, thanks, Sarah, for the knowledge there you give us. I got a question on that. You say that you evaluate the word renovations. Now, how would you do that? Like, I mean, I'm saying, is this renovation inside the house or renovations with addition, or what do you mean by renovations?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. We pick up renovations and additions through the building permits that we receive on a monthly basis from the building department. Renovations could be interior renovations, like a large kitchen renovation. There's been structural changes to walls. Maybe the square footage has been impacted on the outside with an addition. We also take a look at things like the finishing on the outside, whether it's siding or brick. all of those variables impact the value that we capture in order to come up with the current value assessment of the property.
To the chair, one more question, what about the roof style? Like, a lot more going to metal roofs, is that better or worse, or is that really looking at like compared to shingle roof?
Yes, thank you, through the chair. I don't have an exact number on the impact, and it may depend on, like, from my experience, the size of the home and the type of the metal. We know there's different classifications of different types of shingles, just like there is with the clay or the metal sheet roofing. So I don't have an exact answer, pardon me, on the impact, the actual impact.
Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Through the chair, thank you very much for your presentation today, girls. And my question is, the Ontario government, I believe, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're at what, 1995 rates for the government for taxes? Is that correct?
Sorry, through the chair, I'm not sure. So right now we're based on January 1st, 2016 values. So all of the properties across the province are based on that date.
On 2016?
Yes,
So
January 1st.
So when the province decides to up these, we're probably gonna see, or when they come to today's dates, we're probably gonna see a huge jump in these rates.
Yes, thank you, through the chair. We will see an increase in the rates. What that percentage is or what that actual value increase will be will depend on what that valuation date is that's chosen. But we know, like, when we're looking at the market between the 2016 and even today, how it's gone up and down a little bit, but it's really stayed up. There are a couple new insights campaigns and access to dashboards that are available on impact.ca that you can go in and take a look and compare from 2013 to 2023, how the values increased. But we need to be mindful that even if values increase, doesn't mean that the taxes are going to increase at the same rate that those values increased. So when you watch that video, it'll explain if the budget stays the same, what the taxes will do, and vice versa, kind of thing. So it shows that in that video to explain it.
That, Mr. Chair. So any word from the government on when they plan on updating them values, or do we kind of know when they are thinking about raising that? Because it is going to have a huge effect on every municipality across the province, plus every county across the province, just on their tax rates. What's going to happen with that? And that is something that's looming that we all are afraid of, that all of a sudden it's going to potentially hit all of us very hard, or could.
Yes, thank you, through the chair to Deputy Mayor. At this time, we don't have an indication of what that valuation date will be. We are currently undergoing a property assessment and taxation system review with the province. So we anticipate once that review is done that we'll have an answer of some sort as to what that next valuation date or cycle may look like.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. I just have one comment, question, whatever, and it's just something that rolls around in my mind only because I just did an assessment for a house that my daughter bought. And it was 2016, and it was around 270 back then. But the tax rate for that township was 0.98, so it gave them $2,700 a year in taxes. But if, and that house, that was the assessment in 16, all the houses in that area right now are probably in the $500,000 to $600,000 range that they're selling for. So if the assessment goes up even to 500,000, I'm guessing, and I could be totally out to lunch on this, but that tax rate that the township uses to calculate, because they don't need, you know, double the taxes, kind of like that, to keep the things going. The tax rate would come from 0.98 maybe down to 0.6, kind of like that, to still give them a little bit extra to do the things they want to do, but keep it reasonable for the homeowner. Is that, am I anywhere even close on that? Because I do have people ask me that.
Yes, thank you. That is exactly what could happen. So if you used an unrealistic example of the budget staying exactly the same and that value doubling, then your property taxes would actually go in half because they have to reduce that tax rate down to account for collecting the same amount of budget.
Thank you. That's kind of what I thought, because a lot of people are scared, like everyone else has said, when it does come in and if it jumps up that much, well, my taxes are gonna go crazy, but really they're not, because the township compensates with tax rate for that particular purpose to, what I mean, sometimes we go up 2-3%, whatever like that, so it's gonna still let us do that, but not jump up 15, 20, 25, 30%. Well, that's good. Thank you very much. Any questions from staff? No, seeing none. All right, I will entertain a motion to receive the presentation with thanks. Deputy Mayor Nelson and Mayor Watson. All in favor? Perfect. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thanks,
Enjoy the rest of your day, and
Thank you.
very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving right along with the reports for the manager's updates. We start off, please, with the Parks and Rec. Mike, you're up. And I'm guessing all of the committee has read through, so just any highlights, any updates, anything that you really want to point out with us. And for all members, don't feel you have to stay after. If you have things to do, you're welcome to stay, if there's something coming up in the future or whatever, but by all means, don't feel that you have to sit here through the rest of it. Feel free to leave and get back to daily endeavors. So, thank you, Mike. Go ahead.
Perfect, thank you, and through the chair to the members of council. As Tom mentioned, you have my update in front of you, so I'm just going to highlight a couple things. One is the feasibility studies for both the community centers. We just actually last week had the site visits with the company. We spent 2 days, 1 day at each facility. They went over a number of things. They had a number of questions in regards to the operations, how we do business on a regular basis, what our hours of operations are based on our rentals. They also showed models of our hydro usage and our peak use and off-demand models for them to create a baseline for our actual operations. And then we went over the types of fuel usage for each facility, our lighting. They did a walk around, took pictures of all of our equipment, just so they can create a better idea of how our buildings operate now. And then so they can collect that information and propose new ways for us to operate, more efficiencies and different equipment upgrades for the future for our pathway to net zero as regulated. By 2030, we're supposed to have a 50% reduction based on our, I think it was 2007 model that was submitted based on our utility usage. So by 2030, we have to be a 50% reduction in emissions, and by 2050, we're to be 80%. So this will give us our pathway to get there with their recommendations. Our community sport and recreation infrastructure fund grant for the Douro ice surface floor replacement has been submitted, so we'll be eagerly waiting to see the results of that, hopefully early in the new year. Also at the Douro Community Center, we've been dealing with a few issues with our Wi-Fi again. Our router has gone down, and had to be rebooted a couple times. So working with our IT department, we have a new router and kind of like a mesh system. It's the lower end of the mesh, so like the capabilities, because you can go to different extremes with that mesh program. So So it was implemented on Friday, and we talked with minor hockey because they're some of the ones that were having issues updating their game sheets and reporting. So as of the weekend, they had no issues to report to us. We do actually have more options to improve things with this system. We do have Wi-Fi routers that we can place in other locations in the facility. Two more actually, to be exact. One will be placed upstairs to boost the Wellington room signals for any meetings that are held up there or any users that require it. And then we have another one that we can actually move out to the surface floor in the event that the system's not working right now. So it does give us a lot of opportunities to improve. We just kept it as basic as we can right now, just to see how that initial change works, and then we're gonna, if we are having more issues, we're gonna expand the capabilities. The new system has actually been great. I was monitoring it at our minor hockey on Friday nights, and we had at our peak, we had 67 people connected to Wi-Fi. We can see every device that's connected, and we can actually pinpoint who's actually using more data or like to download or upload. And if we're actually having an issue, we can actually even pause that device to give priority to other devices. So it is quite the system, so it is going to take a little time to figure everything out and see what we need to do to improve it. On the operational side, as a lot of people probably know, we've experienced a lot of power outages in Warsaw. Most of them were unplanned that I'm aware of. It's been causing a little bit of issues with our big equipment, so our compressors. When it goes off and then back on, it surges power. We've had to change fuses for the equipment because it's blown the fuses. We've relayed contactors in our dehumidifier. I think we're on our second one this year because of these issues. Hydro 1 had a planned outage on Sunday for the morning. We canceled all of our morning rentals, and to find out that they decided to change that. So I don't know what the new date is. So it's been an ongoing issue. I do know that some contracting companies are actually right at the community center changing a pole. So I'm not sure if that's going to disrupt us or not at this time, but we're going to try to keep on top of this, chatted with staff to make sure that if the power does go out, and they're on site, that they can turn off our major equipment. So we can restart it in control versus a big power surge, and then we have those issues. So staff are getting diligent and trying to do that. But unfortunately, some of these outages happen at times that we're not even in the facility. So, and then just a number of, I think some of the buildings are starting to show their age in the sense that we've had a number of building repairs this year, spanning from the vents in the walls. We're chasing a leak in the dressing room in the chef block wall. So we're investigating that. It's just been a very trying year, I think, for the department. So I'm hopefully we'll get on top of all that and we'll be in good shape for the going forward. Answer any other questions?
Thank you, Mike. Comments, questions from the committee?
Chair, Nick, example one, Sunday when they said there was some power out, we lost those rentals. Have you got any way that we can try to recover that cost? Would it be through our insurance or through Hydro or somebody that, when we went ahead and done what we were supposed to do, and all of a sudden they put that power off? Like, is there any recourse in that?
Through the chair, Councilor Johnson, there is options, but some of them aren't feasible. I know for insurance, we have a deductible that's either $5,000 to $10,000. So the money that, the revenue we would have lost, it wouldn't offset that. As for hydro, we can look into, see if they have some programs for sure. I'm not aware of any at this time.
I don't know what went on. I don't know. We've had this before. And, I know I've asked a question before. I figured it's exactly what I do know that, you know, we always should give the damn money, but we're doing a service and all of a sudden following their recommendations and all of a sudden back. They don't do what they said they would.
Yeah.
I know we've done this before. I don't know where it's, it'd be nice if we could look into something. But then, that both means, I know Warsaw.
No,
Just Warsaw?
yeah, it was just more stuff. We were looking at the grid, and it almost went right to the Indicom drive, by on their mapping that they were showing. But I don't think anybody was affected in that intersection. Plus, Douro is fed from the south up 28. So.
Thank you through the chair. Couple of questions. Thanks for your report. Mike, earlier you were talking about the greenhouse gas reduction pathway feasibility study. It's a mouthful. It's ongoing. I know that it got off to a false start or a late start. Do we have an ETA on when we should expect a final report to be finalized?
Through the chair, we have a rough timeline, as long as we can hold that. I think the final reports for March. From the site meeting, well, we're gonna have 2 workshops, in regards to the information. And so at that point, I did ask some questions for, like, do they come to council and do a presentation? Typically, they said they don't. But there is probably an opportunity for council to come to one of the workshops. And I think it's more workshop number 2 is what we were talking about potentially. I don't have a date for that. But as we update that, because it's very important to have council there, to know, they can answer, if you guys have questions, they can answer them, our best on the process. And it also gives you an idea, like you all get information, but it gives you a better sense of where we're going with this study, what their actual recommendations are going to be. So at that point, I'm going to try to send something into council and invite you guys to one of those workshops.
Thank you. So at the end of the day, I believe we had received some funding through FCM for this particular initiative. Are we going to be compliant with respect to assuming the completion dates to maximize fully that funding that's available to us?
Yeah, yes, through the chair, we will be in compliance with that funding. And it is typically, I can double check that, but we're usually good for the 2 years once that funding is implemented. We've already started, they had already started that process, so we got announced earlier in the year. So we're diving right into the program, and they know that it typically takes that X amount of months to complete the study.
I understand, thank you. And then one more through the chair, thank you. Just shifting gears a little bit. With the anticipated opening of the Miskin Law Community Complex, I believe in January, February, just around the corner in Peterborough, I'm wondering if we are anticipating any changes to groups that are using our facilities, and if we have data on not just the capacity. I know you brought forward what the capacity and uses of those facilities, of our facilities rather, but of who those user groups are, and if we know of any groups that are going to be stopping using either Douro or Warsaw arenas once that new facility is open.
Through the chair, Mayor. It's tough to really say. We do have a few people organizations that are with us. The fortunate part is everybody wants prime time, so all those groups aren't going to get the prime time that they want. So if that prime time is available, they're still going to use that, and we do have a number of leagues that wouldn't even be part of the rural organizations that we keep turning away every year because for the other groups have been there to take priority as per ICE allocation. And so I see potential of a few hours drop. But I think we should be all right once that opens up. But we won't know for sure until it's that.
So in the spirit of that, then perhaps, at the next committee of the whole, you could bring forward a report that just breaks down what the distribution is of user groups of our facilities currently. It's great to hear that nobody has expressed a desire to stop using our facilities, but just understanding what our exposure and risk is. Also, even anecdotally, if you're not tracking formally, the list of the organizations that you're turning away for use. I'm curious to see that. I don't know if we need a motion of direction on that, but I'd be prepared to make that formal request.
Through the chair, to the mayor, we have a list of every group. And we can point it to roughly locations of where they'd be coming from. I think there's approximately 47 to 50 different user groups that we actually have, and we have pulled that list before. To give you an idea of some turnaways, there's that Clever Kings group, it's that Christopher Speed group. It's a new organization, new league, they're begging for ice, they're always looking for ice. They're actually taking ice earlier in the day that I don't even know how some of the parents make it there. So I know they would be on board to grabbing a big block of ice if it was available. Other organizations, other minor hockey organizations have been reaching out, such as the Team Wolverines, Lakefield, Ennismore, in our place. They're looking for our strikes because, like I say, everybody wants prime time. So break down and chat with our administration and try to keep a list of an ongoing list of those.
Great, thank you. So a motion? Yeah.
Please.
So I'll move that staff brings back a report at our next committee of the whole on breaking down the usage at both Douro Community Center and the Warsaw Arena by user group, and a list of organizations that we're turning away.
For a second. Deputy Nelson. Any comments, questions on the motion?
No, well, just come through the chair, there's no problem coming down, but you've got more paper.
Yeah, chair, we have.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion carried. Any other comments, questions from the committee? Stop. I just have a couple of things, Mike. One, and what I see it on your list here, so that was a good thing, because I did have a comment with Johnson, something with a fence. I think it was through a storm, whatever, fence got damaged, and maybe a bit of tree stuff down. But the good thing is, people are using it. If you get somebody asking questions about it, people are using them, so that's a good thing. The other thing was, I just wanted to thank you and your staff for the work you did for the cenotaph, getting the lights and hydro there, because it was, for Remembrance Day, and for the Santa Claus parade, and getting everything set up out here, and what you did. So thank you very much, and pass it on to your staff, please.
Thank you. To the chair, I can't take all the credit. I know my staff has been great on that, but we did actually have assistance from the other departments, the roads. So thank you to Jake as well for.
Thank you all. All right, perfect. Okay, if there's no other comments, questions, I'll entertain a motion to receive the report with thanks. Councilor Johnson, Mayor Watson. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, Mike. Much appreciated. All right, moving on. Fire department, Chuck, you made it back. Fade your pencil then. Sorry.
Good morning. I just have a couple things to add, not much this time, so maybe save some time unless you have lots of questions, which I'll not be answered. So just on our recruitment, I indicated that our recruitment was done. Just to let you know, we did hire 4. we'll be sending 3 to the training center in Norwood for their training. The other one has most of their trainings. We're just gonna do a little bit of in-house, to make up their gap there. So that brings us our roster back up to 65. Hopefully, Mayor, the comparison is on the there that satisfies your request from last time. Again, apologies for not having that on there last time. Just, I guess the things that are coming up, user fees, we did add one in there. Happy to discuss that if you want to, but if we came up from one of our conference on, you know, what other people are doing, and so we added a fee in there, the fire response for, for prohibited activities. So, you know, if we go to a response, and there's some discretion on that, but, you know, if we go to a response at a particular thing, let's say they're having a wedding at a barn that we never approved or knew about, if there's a response for that, that's into. So there's other departments using that type of fee, so that's why it's been put forward. It's obviously up to you guys if you want to stick with that or not. So it's just tied to zoning. It's how the other departments are doing it. So that's going to be in our user fee bylaw. Our 12 days of holiday fire and CO safety, the advertisements are going to be starting on Thursday. So we had recordings done, and our very own Jessica MacArthur done day 2 and day 6. So listen for that on Fresh Radio and the Wolf. The other thing that we're, the treasurer and I are working on, trying to get some meetings set up. I've signed on a few sessions. So there's an owner's change with non-full-time employees that are including paramedics and volunteer firefighters. So we're just trying to grasp, there was a survey that came out, we did reply to that. It was based on a CRA ruling, that our volunteers were not employees. There's been a lot of discussion through conferences, and so we're trying to gather the information, and that will be a report back to council to make that decision, I guess, based on the information we've gathered. So just be aware of that. And that's all I have. So I'm happy to take any questions or anything on the report that you want to further explain.
Thank you very much, sir. Any comments, questions from the committee? Seeing none, so I just have one. Could any from the staff? Thank you. Chuck, you were mentioning about the addition of the fees. Would you like an answer on that at this, or would that be best at a council meeting?
I just wanted to bring it up now because it's a new fee. I mean, it's identified as new in the chart, but I just wanted to kind of give a background and information on where it came from. Happy to, you know, if you have some questions you want to ask me now, that's fine. Or if you want to send me something to further explain it at the time that that's presented, or at the time it's presented, whatever you wish.
Myself, and I'm just speaking for myself, I'm very happy with it because, yeah, it is time consuming, it uses our resources, and there is certain regulations that people in the public have to follow. So as much as we get told off because we have too many, but I mean, that it could take you away from an emergency for something else that is legit and like that. So it's totally up to you, but I mean, if you want us to make a recommendation to council through this committee to accept the fee, or if you want just to wait till a council meeting and have to do it at a council meeting, whichever works for you.
Yeah,
If the rest of the.
Yeah, I'm fine with, I wasn't looking for, I just wanted to bring it up as a conversation point, just because it's new and it's a little bit different. And again, there's some discretion on that, and about, you know, it's really about a significant call that ties up resources for something that should never happen. And that's really the context of it. And we're not going to be looking for, you know, little tiny things that are happening that might not be, you know, was this an issue or not? That's not the intent. It's just when it takes up significant resources for something that shouldn't have been happening in the first place, it gives us an opportunity to recover some of the costs that it takes for those resources to go and deal with the problem. So I'm happy to further that discussion or have any input, but I think just having it at the user fee, you can either approve it or not, unless there's a process that has to be changed, but.
so we'll look at that next meeting. All right, perfect. All right, if there's no other comments or questions, I will entertain a motion to receive with thanks. Mayor Nelson, Councilor Johnson. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Thank you very much, sir. All right, moving right along. We're doing good. Public Works, Jake, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you through the chair. Everyone has my report in front of them. Like everyone else, I'll just provide some updates or some speak on a couple of the points. In our capital project part there, we have Hickey Road, the guide rail replacement. They did complete one side, would be the east side, on December 5th. I had it there that they were scheduled to start. We did get some weather after that, so it has been delayed. They are coming back Monday to complete the other side, so that will be completed after that, provided the weather doesn't delay it again. I did receive some communication the other day regarding the 12th line of Dummer. Mr. Drain is hoping to have that completed by next week, so we should have a report coming to the next council meeting to stop up and close that one section and open or bring the other section into the road system. That realignment clears up a kind of a safety concern there over the years with a windy, hilly section, and it straightens that right out and makes it safer for everyone. So looking forward to that to be completed. We have received the capital purchase, the brushing unit. I did have a pending installation. They have been on site, completed some of the installation. However, we're missing a piece to complete that installation. It's ordered in December. I believe it's this Friday they're coming back, or they hope to have that part and be coming back to complete the installation. On the waste side of things, the green waste bin has been removed for the year. We'll be returning back in the spring of 2025. We did have some issues with the mullets up at the transfer station. They're organized and run by the county. It was equipment failure with the truck that comes and picks the mullets up and empties them. So we're at the mercy of the contractor there, but it's back up and running. We have been having some issues. Just staff have been commenting that residents are not aware of the hours have changed now to the winter hours. It is posted on the website. It is posted on social media. It is posted on site on signage. The winter hours are Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 till 2. And that takes effect every year, November 1st to April 30th. We will also be closed, the transfer station will be closed December 25th and January 1st. That is as well posted on the website and social media to let residents know of those closures. And that's about it for any highlights or updates I wanted to touch on with the report. If you have any questions, happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Jake. Almost questions, anyone else?
Through the chair, thanks for the report, Jake. Just a couple things that is on the report, and that is Birchview Road. I've never heard anything until just as of lately of this week, and complaints about amount of stone. And I know typically we normally get that anyways, anytime we do a new layover of surface treatment, we always get that complaint of the amount of stone that's on there. But anyways, the complaints were basically the amount of stone and that it was totally missing out of the center of the roads. I have not been across it. I just want to bring it to your attention, and I did tell them that it's warranted, and but I did want to bring it up to your attention that I have received it. There was about 4 complaints actually this morning that I actually got when I went to pick up some donuts or had some treats, but anyways, I want to bring that to your attention and let you keep track of that so that we can certainly put in our complaints about that before the warranty time is up. Another thing is up the transfer station, the mullet set, I believe, how long was that closed down for, Jake, do you know?
Through the chair, that was approximately 3 weeks. It was an extended period of time. I did contact the county several times. All I was told was it was a equipment malfunction, and the contractors told them tomorrow. So
Yeah.
they were at the mercy of the contractor. I did ask if they had any alternative plans to, if this was gonna carry on for any, extended period of time, and they did not. They were looking into it, but it did get fixed and clarified, so.
Right, and something more of a question I have is, and I can certainly ask this at the county, but maybe you might know. Do you find that since recycling has changed from the county, is there more usage of the mullets at our site there? Do you think there's more usage or, I mean, the county would have the numbers, but.
I can't comment in regards to the change in recycling. I can comment that they're widely used. They're very, they're used quite often and regularly. We have 5 of them up there now, I believe, and they were all full, prior to that. It needed to be dumped, and it just happened that, our schedule to be picked up and dumped fell when the equipment failed, so, no, the attendant there says that they're used regularly and by a lot of people, so it's good to have that, so.
Yeah.
But I can't comment whether it's in regards to the recycling change or not, but, they are widely used.
Okay, thanks for that, Jake.
Awesome.
Thank you through the chair. I'm curious also on that mullet usage, actually, it's an interesting question. But, dovetailing back over onto the recycling, I know that since the new year, of 2024, the recycling has changed over, of course, to producer pay system, and circular materials is taking care of that. Not surprisingly, we are still getting calls from people who are concerned about the lack of pickup or inconsistent or missed bins and what have you. Jake, I'm wondering if, there's anything that we can do to work with Antera, the contractor, to help ensure that our residents are getting the same caliber of service that they're used to having. I know this is more of a county question than it is here in the township, but is the township getting calls? I know I'm getting calls from people, right? And people don't know that has changed to a producer pay system, and that we're not responsible for that. Are we hearing much pushback or concerns from residents that the service isn't the same?
Through the chair, not that the service isn't the same, however, we continue and always have received garbage and recycling questions, concerns, miscollection from residents, whether it was operated by the county or now through CMO. So that hasn't changed. It's just residents, that's who they feel they should call. It is the municipality, and we just forward them the information that they need. We in particular are not to call Antera unless it gets to to a degree where we need to step in and make that communication happen, but they're just requested to call Antera. There's a number provided and for miscollections and so on and so forth. If that doesn't happen, if they do call back and there's concerns that they're not getting the service that they should be, then we step in and give Antera a call and see what the issue is, so.
Right, just as a follow-up, I know one particular instance where a resident, in and around McCracken's Landing, just geographically to give you a sense as to where that was, had reached out to Inter because of a missed pickup, like after several, like week after week after week, and then they're like, okay, it's been 3 weeks, what's going on? Was then given standards on how things should be picked up from North Kawartha's website. Like this was all in an email exchange back and forth, which was forwarded to me, and it seemed like in that particular instance, Tara didn't even realize where the resident is based there. They left her specifically, specifying their address numerous times. And then they're like, well, clearly on your municipality's website and links to something from North Kawartha, it's like, well, that's not so clear now, is it? So I feel like, and who knows where their call center is, or, but a lot of this is very geographically centered, and I feel like the collectors and people who are managing the collectors need to have familiarity with the communities in which they're operating, and it just seems that it's the same provider from before, just it's being paid for differently. But I just feel like there seems to be a lack of connectivity to, like I say, that standard of service that maybe residents are used to prior to the changeover, and now it's not the same. So, nothing for you to answer. Sorry. It's just really, it's a challenging position for the municipality to be in, and for us as elected officials who are fielding these calls, trying to, understand why and educate people at the same time. And I don't know if there's more information we can include on our website, that even for me to get those answers, it seems a little bit difficult where people go for information. I know to go to the county, and the county points you to CMO, which points you to, like, it's just a mess. And I don't know if it's different from municipality to municipality, but I feel like the ones who are paying are the residents at the end of the day, and they're just trying to get questions answered.
Yeah, for sure. We can look into the, review the website and see what information we have on there regarding recycling, and see if we can get maybe some more clear information or some additional information added to it.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks, Jay.
To the chair, just kind of question that to you. Right in front of the office here, is that classified as county, all the way through?
Through the chair, yes.
Through County Road 4, catching it back up, maybe that, right?
It is, yes.
Okay, I gotta ask you a little favor, and I've already asked the guy last night. If you would do it, there's a problem I'd like to know. But right in front, we put a dumpster at the second entrance of the Lions Park for some free metal drop off. If there's any way that there is a driveway there, and you could just do a little plow drive by with the top down and just plow that little opening there periodically, when it's full of snow. I don't know if that's a problem or not, but I'm asking that request.
Through the chair, we can keep an eye on it while we're doing the parking lot here, and
I just mentioned to where you worked last night there. He's all out.
Yeah.
Have time, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I would just like to make a comment, and if it could be done, appreciate it.
sure, yeah.
Other comments, questions? I just have one, Jake. If you could please, the brushing unit, I know we've talked about it before, is that the unit that goes on the backhoe, like the machine like that, or is this the one that we looked at one time that was on a grader with a big arm?
This is, through the chair, this is a new piece of equipment that actually it does have an arm on it, but we went with a product that mounts, it has its own engine itself, self-control or propelled, mounts on the front of the loader. It's a quick attach, much like a bucket that we put on and off, and it just hooks to the front of the loader, has its own engine, has an arm, 25-foot arm or reach with the brushing flail mower on the end of it. It doesn't do as big of, it's only good for like 2 to 4 inch trees. However, we have our other brushing unit on the excavator that does the bigger stuff. So this is more of a maintenance to come around after we've done the big stuff, and to keep that small brush shrubbery from growing up and coming onto the road. So it's kind of a combination of what we were looking at before, but we felt we had the piece of equipment already. We didn't want to, have to buy another piece of equipment, make do with what we have, and but then this way it can be used in in the future, you know, if we get a new loader down the road, it's adaptable to that, so.
That's good. So when it, and it's a quick disconnect, say, because I know you use roller a lot, load the sand trucks and stuff like that, so it's a switch.
Yeah, that's right, it's just there's a joystick inside the cab, and that all just plugs in and on and off the quick attach on the loader, and, yeah. It's
Thank
gonna be
you.
good.
Right, is there no more comments, questions, any from staff? All right, I will entertain the motion to receive with thanks. Mayor Watson, David Nelson, all in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. All right, moving right along. The Building Department, Don?
Yes,
What
thank
is
you.
yours, sir?
Morning, Council. Before you have my report 2024-18. Just a few highlights on that is, the building department, attends monthly pre-consultations, with the planning department, for proposed development that's gonna happen. But one thing that we've seen an increase, requests of, is for either visits or site meetings that are, pre-building permit. So someone knows they wanna do this and they wanna meet us on site or have a meeting and discuss the project ahead of time. So that's just something that we've seen quite an increase in, and we're working through making ourselves available and tracking that, finding out how we're gonna continue to carve that time out for them. The hope is that those meetings do make the application process smoother, hopefully. And so we're gonna continue to monitor that and look for ways to build that and increase our communication with the ratepayers. One of the notes that we have here is just to clarify, so we do have our permitting, we do have a reduction year to date on submissions of about 16%. But I do want to just highlight that, with the work through our permit renewals, and the amount of work that our staff's doing on that, and some larger projects in the area, our department revenues are sufficient for this year, so, we don't see any, issue with that. So the work's still there, even, with permit applications being down, with permit renewal work, we're definitely maintaining our revenue stream. And then we see some nice larger projects that are coming in. We have a couple that are on the go right now and a few that are slated for the 2025 season, which will be nice. Again, gives staff, keeps us busy and lots of nice big projects. They're maybe a little bit more, the word's fun in there, but different. Just a bit more challenges that come with those. So we're excited for them. We're near the end of the year. So in January 1, we're going to see the implementation of the 2024 building code. And there's a transition period that happens between January 1 and March 31st. So applicants will be able to decide what code they wish to have their plans reviewed under. So there's a little bit more training that we're doing in that in the first part of January. And I don't think that there's really any better training than immersion in that. And so once we get some plans in and we can start going through that new code and applying it, we're excited for those changes as well. Again, those changes have a lot to do with the harmonization to the national building code, and that's what we're trying to get to there. And probably my last one is just that we're continuing to attend some meetings with other agencies, so whether that be WORCA or the OBOA agency, sort of our governing body, or PBH, and we're doing that to try to county-wide talk a little bit and get us all on the same page, just so that we can see if there's an avenue for authorities having jurisdiction to administer the code or their systems in the same manner, just to make it easier for the people who apply for permits in different areas within the county. So those are just some other meetings that we attend, either monthly or quarterly. And then, as you know, we'll continue our work on the discretionary sewage system maintenance inspection program and get some stuff back to council on what that looks like in the new year.
Thank you very much, Don. Comments, questions? Anyone else?
Through the chair. Thanks, Don, for your report. Just a question that I've been receiving ever since last council meeting and that is on the sewage inspection. And the question that I've been receiving has been, do we get our money back for the initial, for the initial inspections that we've already done, seeing that we have canceled the inspections? And I basically said I'm not sure. So I'll turn that over to you. Maybe you can answer that,
Absolutely.
or staff can give you an answer.
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor. So fantastic question. A few points to that is I think the, council direction we're going with, is what I would say first, if council directs that to happen, then we'll discuss that. We did discuss this last year when we brought forward the bylaw amendment to the sewage system maintenance inspection program. And one of the theories on what we did is, so the current program, just to be clear, did run in 2019 and did run in 2021. That's when quote unquote inspections took place. In the year of 2019, we had a party certified inspector who, party qualified, my apologies, inspector who did the work, we lifted lids, we provided certificates, and the program, I'm gonna say, ran as intended. And those people did pay their inspection fees. In 2021, the program didn't run in that same way. Due to COVID, we didn't lift lids. And the discussion was that we didn't send invoices for that year in 2021. We waived the fees in that cycle because that we felt that the fee structure, they didn't get the service in which the bylaw was trying to give them that service. And so for the people in 2019 who did pay and received the certificate, the general consensus in our report, when we brought this back in the bylaw, was that the service was rendered. We did the work, we had staff on site to do it, and they got the full benefit of the discretionary sewage system maintenance inspection program. In 2021, we didn't invoice because we didn't believe they got the full benefit, and therefore, I would argue there is no refund to be had. If that answers the question, I'm happy to elaborate more if there's anything else I can clarify.
Thank you very much, Don.
Any other comments, questions? Comments, questions from staff? All right, Don, thank you very much. I think everything's pretty good, pretty straightforward, all going well. I'll entertain a motion to receive the thanks. Deputy Mayor Nelson, Councilor Johnson. Any questions, comments on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, Don. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll move right along to the planning department, and Martina is going to take that one first with Christina being away today, but not available, so.
To you, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions, but, I won't review the document. It's quite long, so.
To the chair, first question I got, when is she supposed to retire?
I can take that. So through the chair to Councilor Johnson, we're anticipating Christina's last day with us to be the end of the month.
The end of February? We'll have to really get not to work here then.
Awesome.
Thank you, through the chair. Just a question with respect to the cloud permit saga. It appears there's some challenges here, and when possible, perhaps a bit of an update to the update. It looks like it's still very much in play that the county may choose to not secure cloud permit for the planning module. Am I reading that correctly? Or?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the mayor. That is correct. There was a meeting on November 28th. The working group met, that the county is the leader on. They were going to do some additional investigation following that meeting and get back to that group and provide details. We haven't received that information.
Right. So just a note back to Christina, just to continue, obviously, to monitor and report back on that. I know that obviously our building department's using cloud permit, and having the integrated systems would be helpful if the module performs as it's supposed to, but it seems like it's not.
None of them ever do.
Indeed.
Through the chair, this is kind of, I'm good with the report. The report's great, but a question I have was, I presume we will be moving forward with looking to hire a new plan in the new year.
Through the chair back to the deputy mayor, absolutely. I have a report I'm preparing to bring to you probably in the early new year. We talked about some staffing positions, including.
Sorry, I'm ahead of the curve.
No, that's okay.
Excuse me, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? I just have one comment to pass back to Christina, not that I haven't said it before, but and Don just brought it up in his report, like with the pre-consultation stuff. I hear nothing but good accolades on these pre-consultation meetings, stuff like that, whether it be the planning, building department, it alleviates a lot of questions, and it gets people involved. If they go, okay, hey, you know what, this is something I didn't know, this is something I should have known, this is what, they are great, and I have people come to me just saying, oh, you know, pass it on, thanks, they were great, you know, and I just want to pass it along again. It's really nice to hear those comments.
Appreciate that. We also agree. I think, I'm a firm believer that, you know, having these kinds of meetings helps to uncover information that's required, that supports applications. I will say, that in order to support a planning application has been a requirement of the Planning Act for a long period of time. Recent legislation changes that requirement. So, as staff, our concern is that we agree that it is a positive experience when someone has pre-consulted with us and they're able to get that information. Our fear is that we're going to see fewer of them now because it's not a requirement of the legislation. But we will still continue to encourage those types of that type of activity, because we always believe that more communication is better when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
Just to echo, the chair's, comments there, I agree 100%. I hear nothing but good stuff when people have that consultation, especially even with the building department and with the planning, nothing. So I echo those sentiments as well. They're very nice.
Thank you. And I think, you know, we're talking about planning now, but when we talk about building, that's one thing that the CBO is really encouraging is pre-consultation related to building permit activity as well. Because, you know, I think we've seen the positive benefits around the planning piece, that, you know, we're going to continue to encourage people who are looking to build stuff to pre-consult with us. In particular, it's always more beneficial, it's most beneficial in both of those contexts to people who are not, that don't do this as a permanent full-time job, right? I mean, the reality is if you've got a piece of property and you want to develop it, it's always good to, you know, we should always be encouraging communications with our development group, because those are the people that can really, you know, I mean, it's a challenge because our job is to process applications and process permit applications and those types of things, but you know, we also feel like we move the project in a much smoother way if we've had the ability to have a conversation prior to that happening.
Any other comments, questions, staff, committee? Receive the thanks, County Johnson, Mayor Watson. Any comments, questions on the, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. Finance, Paul.
Through Chair of Council, good morning, everyone. And just a few updates here. As you can imagine, my days lately consist of budget, and more budget. Lots of meetings with managers, line-by-line reviews, reviewing capital projects. And we're kind of at the day now where we are in a position that I'll be able to kind of bring all those pieces together and finally see where we're at. Sometimes it feels like you're working on a puzzle that you don't have the full picture and you don't know what you're working towards. And so hopefully today or tomorrow in that time range, I have that kind of full picture of where we're sitting, and then we will make adjustments in order to release the document prior to Christmas. That's our target, if all goes to plan. An update on some of our projects that we are still trying to keep moving. I provided an update last time on our online payment solutions. We did have a little bit of a discussion around going to multiple places, and we actually did ultimately decide not to do the payments through Cloud Permit, and for multiple reasons that I'm not sure we need to get into, but one of them is that we will, for the most part, have one central place that people can go for payments. And then there's some back-end process stuff from a staffing perspective, things that Cloud cannot do, that it makes it easier for us to use our own portal through our website. The one type of fee that we're still not going to use our portal for, and it will be a separate place that residents can go, and that's for facility bookings. They will be doing that through booking, have a user log in and make the payments within booking. They will also be able to, and the reason there's a separation for that one is residents will be able to go in and see what's available in terms of facility availability, ice time, and they will be able to request the booking. They won't be able to necessarily book right there on the spot. We do review all of our bookings before we confirm them. I'd like the Parks and Rec Department to explain those reasons, but largely to make sure that there's not going to be duplication and that we're able to staff it sufficiently before we 100% confirm. So we are hoping that module does help some of the administration work in terms of someone needing to phone in and ask what availability there is. So alleviate some of those calls, and then all payments will be able to be made through the booking system for all facility rentals. We spoke last time about the bank reconciliation module. We did a comprehensive review on our bank reconciliation process over the last couple of months. We did deem that the module ultimately wouldn't save the time that we were looking for, but we did overhaul the process to be completely digital. Previously, it was still fairly paper-based, and so I think we ultimately did achieve the time savings that we were hoping to achieve through the module by doing it all digitally. I do estimate we're saving about a day's worth of work every month with this new process. We're working on implementing our accounts receivable module within Great Plains. We don't issue a lot of invoices outside of, these are more of our one-off invoices that we do issue. We're probably under 20, 25 for the year, so we aren't talking a large volume, but at the same time, this will still make issuing an invoice and tracking it much more efficient. Another update is that I have been working with Mike Garside just to review our phone system and our options for VoIP. So that's, I have to remember what that stands for, Voice over Internet Protocol. I think, it's new for me and learning a lot. I'm kind of just stepping in as a helping hand, but also to guide our proper channel for procurement of this process. Essentially, we've been obtaining some quotes and trying to decide what to do with the quotes and whether or not to go to RFP. I think we're leaning towards RFP just because there's such a volume of companies that do this, that to make sure that we're reaching all those companies and we're getting all the options and all the pricing options. So I think we hope to, at this point in time, we hope to issue an RFP in January with a first quarter implementation. Ultimately, I do expect some operating savings, but it'll be cheaper and better. So I think that's something that we're looking forward to there. We are having to work through some of the requirements from an emergency perspective to make sure that we have redundancy in terms of phone lines, hardwired versus internet versus cellular, just to make sure that we have all the bases covered in case of an emergency. Canada Post strike. Really the update is we are monitoring it, and we are, when things come up that we would typically be mailing out, we're evaluating what our options are, how we can communicate with the people who would be receiving it. For example, accounts payable, we still do issue some checks and mail them. So working with those vendors to either move them to EFT, potentially have a check available for them for pickup, or other mailing options or online payment options. And I think that's the extent of my update. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Paul. Members of the committee, comments, questions, Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you, through the chair. Thanks for your report, Paul. My comment is a little different. Just wondering if you might include, for budget deliberations, and I just want to remind you of this, maybe, is to look at another dock for up at McCracken's Landing, if we could have that included for our budget deliberations, or to see. I've been asked by a lot of people actually that go there and use that facility a lot, and I've been there. And I know it's tough. It's tough I had to wait for, the last time I was at the boat, I had to wait for near an hour before I could actually, and the people were just up at the restaurant, and they were using the facilities that was there, our businesses that are using, they're being, from the people off the lake. And so anyways, I'd like that included in our budget deliberations. I know it might get tight, but anyways, at least if it's on there, we're looking at it anyway. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm chuckling, Deputy Mayor, because really we should be asking, if you ask Tara, we should be asking North Kawartha for, because they believe that McCracken's Landing is in North Kawartha.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know.
We're walking to another conversation.
I'm sorry, Chair, maybe I should be asking for a motion for the direction for that, but I don't.
Through the chair, that was already a topic of discussion of the actual.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I didn't
Any other
see
comments,
that.
questions?
Chair, thank you. Through you, a couple of points, please, and thank you. My screen just fell asleep on me, so I lost my spot. First, the voice over IP system, Mr. Treasurer, if you have any questions or concerns, I've certainly a lot of experience in dealing with voice over IP through my private sector work. I'm puzzled at the going to an RFP decision, largely because a lot of these SaaS companies, software as a service companies that offer these services, wouldn't be monitoring RFP places like Merck's or Video and what have you. I know there's smaller companies, but they would probably be less nimble, less experienced, and equipped to handle that. So I'd be happy to chat further with you outside of the meeting, and offer any of my personal experience, professional experience when it comes to voice over IP systems. Secondly, the Canada Post strike, I did, as a small business Canada Post customer, I receive regular updates from Canada Post. I'm sure the township is also receiving those updates, and I received one in the wee hours this morning. And it seems that the parties are not any closer. They're more so further apart than ever, and they're apologizing. Canada Post, that is, apologizing because they believe that we're probably going to be not with any resolution in the near future. I'm listening to the union speak. It sounds like they are looking for lost wages for the 3 or 4 weeks now that they've also been on strike as well. They've lost they're behind 6%, not to mention the money that they're negotiating for. Not to take sides, I'm simply stating this because I think it's important to think looking ahead for our tax bill mailing. Of course, I've had chats with staff about this already, but we do have the electronic tax bill, which fortunately a little ahead of the curve on that last year when it was soft launched. But I think it's important now to start getting ahead of that as we can, so we're not scrambling when the time comes. And lastly, not included in your report, but of deep curiosity to me is the OPP increase where we're sitting right now. Of course, council, we all remember we were looking at about a 20% increase in our bill from the OPP, and the province stepped in 2 weeks ago, I guess, with some. I received a letter formally from the minister telling us what the billing amount will be reduced by. but it didn't really give me a percentage increase, and I'm wondering if you crushed the numbers on that as to what we would be looking for our, our OPP bill is going to increase by X percent. What is that?
Through your chair to Madam Mayor, I'm going off the top of my head, and so I was gonna be bringing, including it, because the budget report's not far away, I was gonna be including it there. However, it is 3%, which represents about 0.5% for the township. Todd and myself, we've had some discussions though around all we're really doing is just delaying. And so we may want to consider some strategies on how to navigate that. We're really going to see, a 3% OPP increase this year, but it's inevitable. I think it's a one-time support and decrease, which obviously we're always going to be thankful for, but I think that's where a lot of the complaints came from, is the lack of inability to communicate it to the residents and plan sufficiently for. So hopefully we can plan, and that this allows us to plan for it for the 2026 budget.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any comments, questions, Councilor Johnson?
Mr. Chair, to me, that sounds like a Trump, coming back and saying we're 1.5% or it would be. I understand things are going up, but the reality is that they don't have to fight this every year, so I mean, they used to get fighting with it, but I'm glad to hear that the government did come up with the money for us, that there would be only a 3% compared to what they originally said. And the comment on the Canada Post strike, the only loser right now is Santa Claus. But anyways, thanks for the report. And I know there's a lot more coming, so we'll take a lot of questions for later.
And if I may, just comment on maybe something we have to look at this year, next year, whatever, starting a reserve for future years for that, like we have done with other things. So I think that's probably prudent thing for the council to do, just to look for a rainy day, like we did with the roads, for previous bad weather situations, that kind of thing, get something on the go. And I do have another question about the VoIP, and maybe Mayor Watson can answer. I'm not real familiar with either, but I think that's what happened. Because when the internet goes down, my phone's down. So, and I have it through Bell, like through the fiber. So, but yeah, it's one of those things that unless you have a backup, I don't know how quick you get a backup generator down here, but if you only have a 20-minute part, you're not going for 20 minutes, except you might have your cell phone because the tower up here, but the tower's down too. But it's hard to say, but yeah, that is one thing to consider. That you do need that phone system hooked up. You have to have a separate power supply or a battery backup of some kind. Or I do have an option for a battery backup, but that's for a single line. I don't know how it would be for a whole organization, but just something to consider anyhow. Anyway, that's good. Any questions, comments, more from staff or from the committee?
Just to share, I can't comment on the point, but that is some of the things that we're working through is making sure that we have sufficient coverage and redundancy in the lines. There's the ability to put in an automatic cellular backup that the whole network would go onto cellular in case of an outage. And so some of these things are a little bit over my head, and that's why we have an IT staff member, but that is, the items and issues that we're working through.
All right, I will entertain a motion to receive with thanks. Councilor Nelson, Councilor Johnson, any comments, questions on the motion? All in favor? Thanks, Paul. I guess we'll see you at the library this afternoon, will we? Yep. Excellent. Okay, perfect. We're working our way through very well. Thank you very much, everyone. Martina, I think you're next on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So you have my report before you. I just want to highlight a few activities and projects that we've been working on. So for legislative services, it's been a very busy year for council meetings. So as you can see, we've had 18 regular meetings as of the date of writing this report, 6 committee of the wholes, 20 special or special closed meetings, 2 emergency meetings and 4 committee of adjustment meetings, and we have another one coming up this week. For lottery licenses, the committee will remember that we implemented a new system for lottery licenses in early 2024. I think that has been quite a successful endeavor. We've issued 7 licenses to community groups so far. And through that process, we've been able to update the community groups information, making sure they're compliant with the AGCO regulations, and working closely with those groups to ensure the success of their lotteries. So we're quite pleased with how the programs worked, and we've heard positive feedback from the agencies, community groups we've been working with. So that's been great. Talking about FOIs, and we already kind of spoke about it earlier today, but we've had 30 FOIs this year. At the moment, they've all been processed, none are outstanding, and we've met all of our statutory deadlines for those. So that's great. We're a small team, but we're getting it done, and getting that information to the community is really important. And another way that we can serve the residents effectively. As well, the clerk's department is in charge of our formal complaint process here at the township. Since our last committee of the whole meeting, we have not received any new formal complaints, so that's good as well. It means that staff are able to deal with issues that are coming from the public effectively, and they're not having to be escalated to that more serious level. So that's wonderful. We had Nick attend this morning. But just to give you an update on our student program, that's been quite successful in the past 2 years. We've been really lucky with students. And in 2025, I think we're going to be just as successful. We're actually going to have 2 students for the winter semester. So we'll have 1 student from Trent University attending. They are a business student with interest in accounting. So they're actually going to be working with Paul's department on some projects. That'll be great. And then we'll also have a student from Ontario Tech University as well. She's quite interested in the law and enforcement services. So she'll be working with the clerk's department to help us develop some new bylaws. So we're looking forward to those students joining us and having these great relationships with the teaching institutions in our area has really paid off, and we look forward to continuing that. It's already been mentioned a few times, but we did host Remembrance Day on November 11th, and then we had the Warsaw Santa Claus Parade on November 30th. I just want to thank staff again. We had quite a few staff who went above and beyond to make sure that these events went well, and we've heard lots of positive comments, so that's great. And also I want to thank staff because we did receive quite a few letters to Santa at the Santa Claus Parade, and staff have all answered those letters and hand-delivered responses to those families. To make sure that no children are disappointed. So yeah, thanks to staff for going above and beyond making that happen. As well, I'm going to call it the admin team has implemented a new monthly meeting schedule. So Paul and myself have created basically like a joint meeting between our departments and everyone at the front counter, all of our customer service staff. And staff from the building department as well, just to meet monthly about customer service and administrative task issues. We've had our first meeting, it went really well, staff were quite pleased with it, and they've encouraged us to have those monthly in-person meetings, so we're going to be continuing that going forward. So I think that's great, and we were able to talk through a lot of issues that would have been much harder to do if we tried to do it through email or one-off conversations. We can have the conversation as a team instead, and make sure that everyone understands or gets buy-in for those topics. So those are the big things I wanted to highlight for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the community will have.
So the chair, just got one comment, just on what you were saying about your meetings with to deal with the public and how to address them and be respectful. I was on the meeting last night. She was on the County Road 8, and she's new here. She's been over for a year and a half or whatever. But she got word that they were going to be doing some more work on the County Road 8. So she told them concerned about some of the road there. And anyways, the girl that she talked to she said she couldn't have been any more equipped. She said, if you want to pay us a couple $1 million right now, we'll come out and work on the road now. Like, she just went on and just, I said, my God, that's no way to talk to people for crying out loud. I mean, she's complaining, but she's still asking, you know, is it still planning on going to work? And I said, you know, like, I mean, it's so important that we pass on people to answer the phones, that you don't talk to people that way. I mean, not saying that some people can be very rotten on the other end too, and I know that, I'm in business. But, still no, you don't carry on like what she said, they said that. I said this wrong, so I'm glad you have it, because it's very important to have the public on our side, that they can reach out and talk to them, that have to be yelled at or something, even though you might be yelled at. I think it's very important that we respect every call.
Through you, the chair to Councillor Johnson, could we talk about that after the meeting, so I can hear more about that incident?
Any comments, questions?
Through the chair, Martina, thanks for your report. I'm just curious, Martina, is the 30 FOIs, is that kind of normal, or is that an exceptional amount? It seems like
Through
a
the
lot.
chair, it is an exceptional amount. In speaking to other communities, so in the county, we are heads and tails above everyone else. But I think we have also worked quite hard with our residents groups and, you know, folks who follow council meetings to encourage them to make their requests when they have questions instead of, you know, wondering. We are pushing people and encouraging them, making it easy for them to ask questions. So while the number is high, I think it's actually a positive, not a negative, because it means people are having their questions responded to and they're getting the information they want to see. So I think it's actually a good thing.
So Henry, sorry, did I hear you right? We're way above other municipalities?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. We, through the chair, we have more FOIs than, you know, some medium-sized cities, but that's fun.
It seemed like a lot, I
Yeah.
thought. So that's a lot of work. So thanks for that.
A question, thank you, to her. Or not. I lost my train of thought, I was lost in that FOI. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, I remember. The students that we are going to be, the interns that we're going to be welcoming in the winter semester from Trent and UIT, was it, or Ontario Tech?
Ontario Tech.
Is it career space at Trent that you're working with?
To the chair, so for the Trent students, we get them through the experiential learning program. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You know, and that's fine. I had a meeting last week again, related to my private sector work, but as is often the case, they know that I'm there and they're like, by the way, are we working with your municipality? And I thought they were, but they didn't seem to think we were. So I just wanted to, I had offered to facilitate an introduction if that need be the case, but it seems not.
Yeah, so through the chair, so we originally started working with Trent way back in the day through their community research program. And we did some work with them, and then the staff who we were working with transitioned to other parts of the Trent administration. And so then we began working specifically with the politics department, option for politics students to do a research project for local organizations instead of writing a thesis. And so that's how we got Ava, who did our line fences work. Yep. And so the student we're getting is in a similar position to Ava, who they're going to be doing work instead of doing politics and stuff.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? You want to get from your side? I just have one question. You issued 3 marriage licenses. Did you have to perform any weddings?
No, through you, Mr. Chair, we have not performed any weddings yet. Anu on our team is very excited to perform weddings because she did really well. She was at the city.
Yes.
So we are hopeful that one day someone will ask us to perform a wedding. So we are ready to go.
Through the chair, so you just do the license, you don't do the
That's correct. At this moment, we've only received requests for licensing, not ceremonies.
Any comments? I do want to make a comment that, obviously you have been very busy with all the meetings and everything else, so I'll say thanks.
Pleasure.
All right, I will entertain a motion to receive the report with thanks. Everybody else, Councilor Johnson, any comments, questions on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Martina. And last but not least, Todd, our new CAO, you are on the floor.
To the chair and the rest of the council, thanks. My report was pretty short, I recognize that, and it was pretty, I believe it's relatively self-explanatory, although I have a couple of things I'd like to highlight and a couple of comments I'd like to make. So first and foremost, I've gone through and completed the onboarding piece of joining the organization, and I'm very thankful both to council and to the rest of the staff that have welcoming they have been to me here. Sometimes it's challenging when you come to a new organization, especially in a senior role, to be welcomed, and there's always some anxiety on the staff part, not fear of the unknown. They don't know what they're getting. I hope that they are much more comfortable today. We are 6 weeks into this journey, at least 6, I think. Maybe this is our 7th week together. This is my first committee level. So a couple of things. I have a personal philosophy that I'm not intending to make any, not that I'm intending to make any significant changes to this or recommend any significant changes to this corporation, but certainly wouldn't do so within the first 6 months of my arrival. I'd like to understand what's happening. I'd like to understand what's happening in a situation before I try to fix it. Because maybe it doesn't need, many of the times it doesn't need to be fixed. That being said, there are, I think, some areas that we will be flexing, I guess, for a better, lack of a better word. And some areas where I think in the interim, we will be making some changes, and one of those will be related to health and safety. It's become very apparent to me that we do not have an active health and safety committee. And so I've made some, given some direction, particularly early on, to reactivate some of that work right now, because I think it's critically important that our staff and the public feel supported, or that we have a safe environment within which to visit us when they are doing business on town property. Secondarily, and this is I'm giving you this by way of news, and we will be communicating this in email to you. But I'm going to verbalize this to prepare you for it. In the very short term, we have, so certainly one of the things that we've done from an IT perspective or from a cybersecurity perspective is we've initiated what's called, in order to create a more secure operating environment in the digital world. And as we move to things like Microsoft 360 and some sort of online storage repositories and a number of these different things, it is not lost on me that we need to do some due diligence around cybersecurity. There will be more to come, certainly in 2025. One of the things that we've initially initiated amongst the senior staff is we've initiated what's called multi-factor authentication. I'm sure anybody that does any kind of work online or you bank online, I think if you use any social media these days, you're being pushed into this, which is basically when you go to log into something, you oftentimes get a text message to authenticate that it is you in a series of different ways. I'm serving that as notice to you today that is coming for you as well in the not too distant future. And we will work through it together so that you are, for those of you that are uncomfortable with this type of world. However, our responsibility, and certainly I take it very seriously, is my responsibility to ensure and protect the liability and the security of this organization in this community. And so that is something that we are going to be rolling out. It's something that we've had to pick up with our senior leaders, and it'll be coming for council probably before the end of the year. So it's gonna be fun. Finally, we will work a little bit I noticed as I had the opportunity to read all of the reports, so I didn't have any questions today, Councilor Watts, predominantly because I get to read them, all the reports, and I have to sign off on them before they come to you, so I'm very well aware, or should be very well aware, what's in all of those reports. And not that it's the content that's the issue, not that the reports themselves are an issue, but I note that there is a somewhat, not I want to say wild, but inconsistency between what we get from one report to the other. And so we will work to refine the reporting structure specifically for committee of the whole, so that we have a more consistent report coming out from the various divisions, so that you're getting the same amount of information and the information that you want from meeting to meeting. So my plan is to have for the next committee of the whole, and the first one in 2025, maybe a new report that provides some consistency among those departments and an opportunity for discussion amongst council. That's the information that you're looking for predominantly. Couple of other areas that I want to sort of note that aren't necessarily part of this report. We will be doing some work planning for 2025 once the budget comes forward and we're prepared with that. Once we've prepared the budget, my direction to the various divisions will be work plans for next year, including or recognizing that an area that you probably do not get a ton of reports on, and I will be more consistently reporting on this, and we will have a work plan I will be bringing forward is around the IT department. There is a manager of IT that sits at this table. You're not getting regular updates on that, and so that will be my responsibility to provide those updates. But I also will bring a work plan for what we intend to do, because there's a laundry list of things that need to be accomplished in that area, a part of the corporation, and so it would certainly be something that I'm very keen to communicate with council and the public. Just as a note of an operational note, I will be providing direction, or I'm providing direction that annual staff performance reviews will be done as is traditionally done in this corporation at this time of year. I obviously have performance reviews for all of the managers that will be provided this year, although I don't imagine they will be of any significance, only because we have only worked together for a very short period of time. So it's unfair of me to review their performance in the last 6 weeks. Everyone's been on their best behavior, and they're doing a great job. So, but I would imagine that all the other staff will receive robust performance reviews, and that activity is ongoing. And then finally, I'd like to bring to your attention, and I don't think that this is a surprise to anyone, there is an upcoming office closure scheduled. December 24th through January 1st, this office will be closed, as is traditionally done, as I understand it, and we will be communicating with the public that is coming well in advance. But I just wanted to formally make you aware, committee, that is what's happening. I don't think any of you are surprised. I would be more surprised if any of you were surprised, to be honest with you. And other than that, that's my report. Happy to take any questions, comments, concerns you might have.
Move the committee. Comments, questions, Councilor Jones.
To the chair, right off the bat, I want to really say thanks for you attending the community events. I think that's a very worthy experience for yourself, but I think it looks good for us as a township, as a council, to see you participate on the different events we have.
Sure.
It's and not knocking anybody in the past, whether they did or didn't, but I'm just saying it's nice to see the office staff involved in certain things, because volunteer people do a lot of things, but it's nice to see the in-house people that what they can do and will do, compared to just coming to work and doing the job, picking up the check and leave. So it's nice to see that. I must say, I want to say thanks for participating in the community events.
Any comments, questions?
Just echo through the chair. Cyber attacks are very real.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, and thanks for taking that very seriously and And I look forward to your leadership in that regard, Todd. It is very real, unfortunately, in the way we are today. And, somebody's always out there trying to make some money or do something and attack or, anyways, thanks for your leadership in that regard. And thanks for coming and working with us, and I look forward to the new year and working together. So, thanks a lot, Todd. Thanks for your report.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll jump in really quick. This is something we haven't talked about, so I'm gonna catch up guard a little bit. But when we're talking about performance reviews for managers, one of the things that we haven't really, as a council, been able to move forward since we've been going through, recruitment of CAO, and now that we've got you here, is just alignment and moving forward with the strategic plan. Obviously, I know you're aware that we have a strategic plan, but,
Sure.
making sure that some of those work plans are in alignment with that, and I'm sure council will support you on any of those initiatives in on a going forward basis.
Absolutely. I mean, the other part of it is, you just passed your strategic plan, I believe, or this summer, roughly this summer. So I would expect that I will report annually at least how we are going through that process. In particular, just centered around the strategic plan, but also recognize that everybody's work plan has to be aligned with what's in that strategic plan, and that'll be certainly, that's a motivation to how I want to move forward with our work plan, is how we are accomplishing those strategic items that you put forward, and then my root goal will be to probably report in Q3 of next year as to how we've progressed so far on that plan. I'm happy to do it more frequently if that's requested, absolutely.
All right, I just have a couple of items on.
Sure.
One, and to echo what Council Johnson said about planning our events, which didn't surprise me at all, but also thank you to you bringing your family for the Santa Claus parade. It's not just you, but you brought your family up to be included in the township and meet some people here, not too, which is also very nice. So thank you for that. My second thing, and it was a comment you made about you have to sign off on all the reports that we have, but as you saw today, the odd time there's an add in of something that comes, so I guess certainly don't be afraid to kick in if, if there's something that, oh, I didn't sign off on that one, it's like, and I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying those things do happen, last minute things, add-ins that the staff have, that come all of a sudden, and they want council to know about it. And, if you have any questions on it, by all means, kick right in and comment or ask questions on that at the same time, like, we don't have to worry about a week to go back, and then we all get the answer on it, so.
No problem.
Much appreciated, thank you very much. There's no other, Martina, do you have any questions, Todd?
She has lots of them every day.
There we go, that's a good thing. All right, I will entertain a motion to receive with thanks. Mayor Watson, Mayor Nelson, comments, questions on all in favor? Hang on, one is off.
Suspense, Chair.
All right. So our next committee of the whole meeting will be Wednesday, February 12, 2025.
You have a date, look at you.
Oh, we got everything. And at that particular time, we will be nominating a new chair for the new year. And we'll have some surprises, not one too, with the new format, so that'll be good. Is there anything else, Madam Clerk, that we need to discuss? All right. And we will take a motion to adjourn the meeting at 12:10. Mayor Nelson, Council Johnson, all in favor? Thank you very, very much, everyone. And I guess I'll see Paul.